Did Nintendo just save Mario Kart World? I'm going to take a look at the Mario Kart World version 1.30 patch notes and see what they did to change it, if it means that the game is fully improved now, if it's just minor things. And this comes just a week after I asked the question, did Nintendo abandon Mario Kart World? So it looks like with the competition from the new Sonic racing game that there is some pressure on them to improve this game. So the first thing I want to talk about is being able to join friends in Knockout Tour online. This is something that needed to be in the game immediately. There was no reason for this to not be in the game at launch, and even less reasons to wait 3 months to add this. So I mean, I'm happy we finally have it, but this is something that needed to be in the game a while ago. Next up is, up to 2 players can now play free roam while waiting if the game was full when trying to join friends playing race, knockout tour, or battle in online play. This is kind of just a minor detail, it's nothing that big. The free roam map now displays the locations of P-switches you've run over and Peach medallions you've obtained. So this is just like another minor quality of life update, and I haven't really played much of the free roam just because I think there's almost nothing to do. Like the P-switches and Peach medallions are pretty much the only things you can do. So that is a good update just so people at least know where they've been, because there are a lot of these on the map, and it's actually really confusing why Nintendo didn't have this in the first place. In free roam, you can now transform into the character pulled into the UFO. If dash food and settings controller is set that doesn't transform, then you will not transform. I mean, like, that's okay, but there's not really that big of an impact from this, but I'm not complaining about it either. But this honestly wasn't even something I was thinking about. It is now easier to encounter UFOs in free roam, alright. The conditions for the appearance of some Peach medallions in free roam has been adjusted. When spectating in Knockout Tour or Balloon Battle in online play or wireless play, you can now choose who to watch, even if you are holding the Joy-Con 2 or Joy-Con horizontally. Decrease the time between when an item box is taken by someone and the next time it's revived. And it is very quick, so I'm not complaining about this one either. Like, it spawns in like another second. Increase the invincible time after spinning or crashing during a race. Now, this is something that I think is a big update. I think this is probably the most important thing in this, because as most of you probably know, getting sandbagged is a big issue in this game. Like, it seems like if you get hit, you'll just get sent from 1st to 24th just because there's very little invincibility. So having some more time where you just can't be sandbagged and there's going to be more actual skill involved rather than people just throwing items, I think that's a huge thing for this game. I don't know how exactly it's changing. I don't know if it's just a handful of frames, if it's actually something that'll make a difference, but this is something that's promising. Reduce the force of jumps when landing on a rival from above. Decrease the amount of time between when you finish and when spectating begins in Knockout Tour or Balloon Battle in online play or wireless play. Again, this is just a very minor thing. Decrease the amount of time between passing through the checkpoint and when the ranking is displayed in Knockout Tour in wireless play and land play. Further increase the frequency of lap type courses appearing in the selection when choosing the next course in verse race and wireless races. And then for fixed issues, there's a ton that I want to go over, but to go back to the general updates, I don't think any of these are that important. I think by far the most important ones are being able to play Knockout Tour with friends, at least friends online, and the invincibility changing depending on how drastically that actually fixes the game. Now for fixed issues, fixed an issue in online play and wireless play where the ranking would sometimes become incorrect if a player went off course at the same time as reaching the finish line. Fixed an issue in Grand Prix, Knockout Tour, and Verse Race where the CPU's ranking would sometimes drop after reaching the finish line. And then I'll just put it on screen here because there's no need to read all of these out because most of these are just fixes of just some minor glitches in the game that you probably didn't even know about. And then at the bottom it says several other issues have been addressed to improve the gameplay experience. So what does that mean? Because this game is heavily flawed. I think it's a game with a lot of potential. I said this last week. But issues like the sandbagging, which obviously I talked about before also, and the meta, which is basically sit at the back, get overpowered items, and then just get to the front before the end of the race. Like, it's not a fun meta to just play like that. Like, I've tried playing like that and it works. Like, if you sit at the back most of the time and just wait for your bullet bills and gold mushrooms, you'll probably make it to the final 8 or 4 every time. But that's just, it doesn't feel like skill. It's actually trying to be as bad as possible at the game. We're just trying to sit at the back, and it's just not rewarding gameplay, and that's kind of why I've given up on Mario Kart World. I might check it out now to see some of these updates, but I don't really think any of these really fix what the issues with the game are. I think it's mostly just quality of life issues. The game is also incredibly empty in free roam. Like, they had these additions to free roam, which do make it better, but it just makes me ask, why were some of these things not in the game right away, and how much are we actually missing from this? Like, that seems pretty standard to have literally the 2 collectibles, or not collectibles, landmarks, whatever you want to call them, on the map just not show up when you collect them. Like, it took them 3 months to add that, because it's not like there was that much else in the free roam to worry about. Like, there's nothing, there's no challenges, there's no online races that you could find just by going around. There's just so little in the free roam, and the fact that it took this long to add something as small as this in leads me to believe that there was maybe a time crunch for this. But the last Mario Kart At least the last new Mario Kart came out 11 years ago, so you would think they would have used a lot of that time to really fully develop this vision of what was really promising, what's something that I was really hyped for. Like, that's one of the reasons I wanted to get a Switch 2. I think if there's any positives to take away from this, it's that Nintendo hasn't abandoned Mario Kart World. At least they're doing something. I don't know when the last update was before this, but it seems like the competition with Sonic, and maybe even their own game with Kirby Air Riders, is kind of making them realize that this game is not perfect and that it needs fixes. Because Mario Kart games are supposed to last the entire generation. Like, look at Mario Kart Wii, it's still being played today, but for the entire Wii generation, people were playing it. Same for Mario Kart 8, same for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and that was especially impressive considering that it was a game that already came out years before it launched on the Switch, and was still played for the entirety of the Switch's lifespan. I don't know the exact player count for Mario Kart World, but I'd be willing to bet it's probably lower than Nintendo wants, because it's just very limited content in here, so I can't imagine that it's really gone up. I'm sure the game sold well because most people bought the Switch 2 with Mario Kart World, but let me know in the comments if you're still playing this, because I'm just curious. My hope is that all of these things are just leading up to a bigger update. Like, it's good that they're showing they at least care a little bit with some quality of life updates. I know Nintendo is notorious for not listening to fans, but I can't imagine that they have no one just taking a look at what the discourse is about this game. And one thing I will give Nintendo credit for is that they do update a lot of their games. Smash Ultimate continued to get updates for years. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe got updates. It got a big DLC, which wasn't free, but it was still a lot of content added, so it showed that they were still paying attention to the game. The Mario Maker games got a lot of updates. Splatoon games have gotten a lot of updates. Pretty much every multiplayer Nintendo game in the Wii U, 3DS era, and beyond have gotten updates when they've been supported. And by that I mean that a lot of people played the game and that they weren't just updating it for no one. I think in the next Nintendo Direct, whenever that is, it'll probably be maybe early 2026. I think we'll either get a big free update for this, or we'll get something like a DLC. The fact that there is an update now that did fix a decent amount of things, even though none of them were that big, leads me to believe that they are working on something a lot bigger. I think really fleshing out the free roam, adding maybe a couple new modes to give more incentive to keep playing, I think that's probably the direction they're going to go in. And I think we'll probably see this around the time when the new Sonic racing game comes out, or when Kirby Air Riders comes out. And I know Nintendo has their internal numbers for how many people are playing, but I think the number's going to dip drastically when these games come out, and that's really going to motivate Nintendo to get these updates out. Anyway, let me know what you think of these updates. Let me know what you want to see in Mario Kart World. If you did enjoy this, be sure to subscribe, as it really helps me out, and like this video. I truly hope that Mario Kart World becomes a much better game, because Mario Kart is one of my favorite series. I've played every one since DS. This is easily the biggest Mario Kart, but that doesn't make it the best, but I want to see it be as great as it can be. This has been Domain with Game Domain. Thank you for watching.